right, so here we have the quilt. This is the last block of the month lecture for the Illusions block of the month. And I'm going to open up this quilt. Now, I don't know if I showed you Jess's quilt. She actually had it done last month. And she has the purple borders.
Uh-huh.
I'll try to stand back so you can see them a little better.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah, she did a great job. So what we wanted to talk about, you want to grab one side? I just have one person on Zoom for this lecture.
That's your finished one?
This is Jess's.
Oh.
I still have 2 blocks left to do.
Oh, that border brings out everything in the middle.
Yeah.
It? It's beautiful.
Mine will be blue.
Okay.
What was that?
I said, hi, Deb, and I think that's very...
Hi, Marcia.
Marcia in Texas.
Francis.
You remember my name.
Good.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Yeah, so the main thing of this lecture is to talk about how to put on borders of the quilt. So what you do is you lay your quilt flat on the floor and you take a measurement of the top to the bottom on the left-hand side, top to bottom on the middle of the quilt, and then top to bottom on the right-hand side. And hopefully they're close to being the same. Then you average those 3 numbers.
Okay.
And then you cut your borders to that length.
Right.
So when you're assembling, you'll do the sides first and then go across the top.
Right.
So
Right.
I haven't gotten to that point yet on mine, and I haven't really looked at hers. I'll look at hers real quick to see if you get a continuous cut or not. And it looks like you do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which is good. So if you ever enter a quilt into a show, you definitely don't want any splices in your borders.
Oh.
And when you cut your borders, you want them to run the length of the grain.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. I don't see any splices here on the quilt.
Uh-huh.
Cut length of grain.
Yes, good. So
Length
you
of
do
grain.
cut length of grain. Jess is here
Yeah.
saying.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi. Merry
Hi. Merry Christmas to you too. Yeah, you cut it length of grain. So no seams on that last big border.
Yeah, so I talked to a judge at a quilt show once, and that was one tip she said. She said, quilt shops love when I come to the store to buy fabric for borders, because I will buy the length of grain for my borders. And that's how you get your quilt to lay flat.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it is the strongest part of the fabric when you go length of grain.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's
All
the
right.
secret. So do that with the black border, the inner border or sashing, and then also with the actual border itself.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I didn't know that. I always try to, when I make quilts, do it so that I don't have to splice, but I didn't know the length of grain thing.
Length of grain. Yeah. When you tug on fabric, it is the strongest when you're tugging length of grain. When you tug cross grain,
Right.
usually you can get a little bit of a stretch.
Okay. So is length of grain the
Selvage.
yes, that's what I meant.
Yes, I could read your mind. It is the selvage, it's parallel to the selvage edge of the fabric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then while we're at it, I'll also tell you the tips for preparing your backing at the same time.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
that's
there's Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine. And Sue is on. Good, welcome. Let's see here. I am on my phone, so I don't know how to make me bigger. But anyway, when you are preparing your backing for the long arm, most long armors will tell you 4 inches all the way around. For my machine, I need 6 inches just because I have leader grips. It's a way I fasten my backing to the actual machine. So I do need 6 inches. And the reason why we want it all the way around, especially for a quilt like this that has borders, is we would turn the quilt 90 degrees to finish those borders. So when you think about it, my table is 12 feet long. And so the machine is going to work across this way. And if I'm using a computerized program, I'm going to set my corners first, and then I'll create the center part of the border. And then once I'm all done quilting, all that I can, that direction on the quilt, then I'm going to take it off of the long arm and turn it 90 degrees so I can do the sides continuously too. Now,
question, the
yes,
back, do you still have backing? I still haven't ordered it.
I do have backing. Yes.
Okay.
So go ahead and order it.
Okay. And when you do that, then is there going to be enough for the 6 inches for you?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that. And then let's just say, not for this quilt, but for another quilt, a lot of times we'll get quilts in where they're using 45-inch fabric or using some splices with other quilt blocks, extra quilt blocks. With that, let's say if you're just going to take 45-inch bolts and seam together, it is okay to keep your selvages on. And it is okay to sew if you're putting selvage to selvage, right sides together. I would take, make sure that you're not sewing where any of the selvage is going to show. And you can press that open. That's the most important thing I want to stress, is you need to have at least a 1/2 inch seam pressed open, not a 1/4 inch seam pressed to a side. That's for quilting. That's for piecing your quilt blocks. But for backing, it is stronger if you have at least a 1/2 inch. And I get lazy. I will keep my selvages on. If your selvages are tight, just snip them a little bit, because some fabric has a thicker selvage. I'm thinking of, I can't think of the brand right now. Ruby Star Society. I think in Cotton and Steel, the old Cotton and Steel, they used to have a thicker selvage. And like I said, I'm lazy. I don't want to cut off my selvages. It just takes time. So if you press it open, before you press it open, just snip it like every 6 to 8 inches. So it lays flatter, so it's not tight. That's the only purpose. And then you can press that open.
Okay.
So, again, if I were entering into a show, I probably wouldn't do that, but, and then the other thing too, is when we're loading a quilt, it's a lot easier on the long arm if we can load using the selvages. But again, I have to look at the quilt. The quilt might be directional. The backing might be directional. But when you think about the tightness of a seam, there's added tension there. And if we have that seam going horizontal or vertically on the long arm, that is 90 degrees perpendicular to the rollers, it's a potential to have some puckering or, some folds in the back fabric. Case in point, we have one on the long arm where that's exactly what happened. In fact, that might be a good learning opportunity for anybody who watches this at some point or another. So Julie and Connie said we're having a ripping good
Christmas party.
Christmas party.
Nobody's taking us up on help.
Because they're busy ripping.
Been good Halloween, holiday party.
So yeah, we have some vertical seaming here that we couldn't avoid
Right.
loading it this way. I didn't really look, but maybe it could have been turned the other way. But then again, it's the
But it's,
design.
It's
It's holly.
Directional.
It's
There was a
directional.
directional piece in that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't think I could line it up as well going this way. as
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
And especially with it
Not
being
that I-
directional.
couldn't be done. It
Yeah,
can be done.
But those are a lot of the things that we have to take into consideration when we're putting on a quilt is what's going to give us the best success.
So are they
So-
picking it because it buckled in it?
Yes.
One little plate this far.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm.
And I can't let it go out of the shop like that.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
What we think though, Pam,
Yeah.
is
We're
that
gonna
we
try.
can rip this out
Mm-hmm.
and I can line it back up.
Okay.
I can snap to point.
Yeah.
I should be able to line it back up
Because we
because
haven't
it
taken
hasn't
off.
come off of the frame.
Yeah. 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 And that's one thing that we can do
Oh,
very
that's
well
nice.
with the Bernina.
Yeah.
Yeah. That software is really good for,
Yes.
because
I
you get
can
right, like
right
pinpoint
to where I
placement.
need to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So we just have to rip this corner out.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
'Cause it's a bad one to rip.
Oh, yeah. Because that's very dense. It's a dense one.
But it's the colors, the thread on the green.
Yeah. That's not fun.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me flip my. There we go. Okay. So now I'm back. So yeah, the last block. Let me see if Jess. Hey Jess, do you have any parting words on the last block? Since I didn't do it.
So for that last block, there are some little itty bitty pieces, starch, so they don't stretch. Starch them up and you'll be fine and it'll stitch up beautifully then.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. That was my party. Those were my words of wisdom for everybody at the one in store, was to have starch those little tiny pieces. If you have extra and you want to try and strip piece it, you could, but you just have so few. I didn't feel it was worth it to try and strip piece those little itty bitty ones. So I just starched the dickens out of my stuff and then they stayed perfect. Didn't have to worry about them stretching out or anything like that. So
Did you get yours done, Lorraine? Oh yeah, she did. She's on to her wedding quilts now.
now she is. Yes.
Oh, wow.
We've got lots of food down here, Lorraine.
I know, I'm gonna come there in a minute.
Okay. Wish you could be here, Marcia.
I know. Me too. Well, in September or October, whatever.
Right, right. Well,
So-
perfect. Well, any other questions for me today?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay.
This is my project starting after the holidays. I'm still working on some holiday things. And then my goal is to get this finished in January and February so I can get it off to my long armor.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm hoping that I get mine done too.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna have you do it. So,
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. You get a
You're welcome.
gold star for all of your attendance.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you and Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.